shocking international murder-for-hire plot against former high-ranking White House officials. This morning, the U.S. is warning Iran of severe consequences if it attacks American citizens.
A shocking assassination conspiracy that rocked America, an underground network meticulously planned from halfway around the world, and a heart-pounding race against time by the FBI. What happens when an extremist using the alias Asif Merchant slips across the border carrying a deadly contract aimed straight at high-ranking U.S. officials? And how did an ordinary citizen's decision become the key that turned the entire game around at the last minute? Let's decode the full dossier on this breathless manhunt operation right here. What do you think about the level of sophistication of underground organizations these days? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel to support us in bringing you the most shocking cases. On March 6, 2026, the United States justice system officially marked the end of one of the most serious security cases of the decade. A federal jury delivered the final verdict against Asif Merchant, a subject going by the alias Asif Raza Merchant. This decision is not only a well-deserved punishment for severe violations of the law, but also a powerful message about the rule of law. The incident originated from a systematic recruitment and training process in the South Asia region around late 2022 and early 2023. Asif Merchant was lured into and joined an organization that the United States government has listed among groups with behaviors threatening global security. Here, this subject was trained in sophisticated underground operation skills to prepare for dark schemes. This training process was not merely about physical conditioning or survival skills. It focused heavily on highly complex counter-surveillance techniques. The main purpose of these lessons was to help individuals evade the tracking of Western law enforcement agencies. This demonstrates the level of cunning and meticulous preparation of the forces behind the desire to sow instability. Have you ever wondered how an ordinary individual can cross the moral boundary to become a major threat to the safety of an entire nation? The answer lies in psychological manipulation and extreme ideologies that have eroded their human perception. In Merchant's case, testimony in court confirmed that the subject was fully aware of the illegal nature of the organization he served. This clear awareness shattered all excuses of being deceived or unintentionally aiding evil. It affirmed the naked truth that this was a series of intentional actions carried out by a mindset tainted with violence. This is a costly lesson on the importance of building a solid moral foundation for each individual so as not to fall before wrong temptations. After completing the preparation phase, Merchant's first step was to infiltrate United States territory in late 2023. The subject's initial goal was exploratory, aiming to find potential links to build a long-term underground operational network. The subject continuously traveled back and forth to receive direct instructions from the ringleaders, showing very tight transnational direction. April 2024 marked an extremely dangerous turning point when Merchant returned to America with an action plan that had been upgraded in its level of cruelty. This plan was divided into three prongs aimed directly at the stability of the United States political system, including stealing classified documents, staging riots, and most seriously plotting to take the lives of high-ranking figures. To carry out this crazy ambition, the subject realized that he could not act alone in a strange land. Merchant decided to seek help from local criminal elements by contacting an old acquaintance in New York. However, this very decision to expand the network became a fatal mistake that opened the path leading to the downfall of the entire sabotage campaign. Merchant's acquaintance, named Nadim Ali, stood at a decisive moral crossroads. Instead of being blinded by promises of material benefits or turning a blind eye to crime, Ali made an incredibly brave choice. Aware of the serious nature of the matter, this citizen immediately reported all suspicious signs to the Federal Investigative Agency. In daily life, have we equipped ourselves with enough knowledge to identify abnormal signs from those around us in order to protect ourselves and our communities? Nadim Ali's action is a shining example of the spirit of civic responsibility. It proves that every citizen can become a solid shield protecting national security with just a timely and brave act of reporting. From that moment on, Nadim Ali officially became a key factor operating under the strict guidance of the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation. In early June 2024, a fateful meeting took place in New York. Here, Merchant completely revealed his cold-blooded nature by describing in detail the dark plot using threatening, gun-shaped hand signals. The subject did not hesitate to map out scenarios to deal with the security forces protecting the targets while simultaneously preparing a safe escape route for himself. Merchant planned to flee the United States borders before the crime actually took place and would direct things remotely through secret codes. This sophistication shows that the masterminds always want to keep their own hands clean while pushing others into the cycle of the law. However, under the masterful arrangement of law enforcement agencies, the net was cast perfectly. In mid-June, Merchant was brought to meet subjects he mistakenly believed to be professional hired hitmen. In reality, these people were security officers working an undercover mission, accepting danger to gather evidence in order to prevent a tragedy that could shake the whole world. Besides direct negotiations, investigators also discovered the subject had continuously collected information on the internet about the locations of important political events. This data was then reported in detail back to headquarters, showing direct intelligence backing from a foreign organization. This is a blatant violation of national sovereignty and security that is unacceptable in any form. To solidify the binding of the deadly contract, Merchant managed to scrape together and hand over a cash amount worth $5,000 on June 21st. The moment the transaction was completed was also when the subject signed his own sentence with his own hands. The verbal confirmation between the subject and the undercover officers created solid, undeniable legal evidence in court regarding his criminal intent. Believing that his cover was still absolutely safe, Merchant casually booked a plane ticket planning to escape on July 12, 2024. But the net of heaven is vast, and though its meshes are wide, nothing escapes. The special agents quickly moved in to arrest the subject right before he could flee. This timely intervention completely extinguished all risks and absolutely protected the safety of the targeted figures. The successful prevention of this plot created a huge resonance, receiving profound attention from the highest leadership levels of the justice system. United States Attorney General Pamela Bondi issued a stern statement affirming the unshakable commitment to protecting the people. Law enforcement forces will always maintain high vigilance to prevent all threatening acts before they can cause consequences. Federal Bureau of Investigation Director Kash Patel also emphasized that this is not the first time there have been efforts to violate the safety of politicians. However, all those malicious plots have suffered and will suffer miserable failure against the fortified security network. He strongly affirmed that any individual or organization deliberately interfering with the nation's peace will have to face strict accountability before the law. From a professional national security perspective, Assistant Attorney General John A. Eisenberg assessed the act of infiltration and planning for sabotage as a serious insult to the foundation of the rule of law. The National Security Division will continue to be steadfast and uncompromising with any threat. The complete failure of this criminal network was summarized by United States Attorney Nocella as proof of the robustness of the national defense system. To achieve this resounding success, one cannot fail to mention the immense power of solidarity and interagency cooperation. This was a large-scale operation bringing together the participation of a series of field offices stretching from Dallas, Houston, Tampa to Boston, Washington, Chicago, and Albany. The mobilization of such a vast force reflects the mobile nature and the level of severity that the subject brought to social order. Besides the key role of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the close coordination from the New York City Police Department and Customs and Border Protection was a decisive factor. Local forces made significant contributions in tracking, monitoring, and executing the arrest warrant accurately and safely. This provides a valuable lesson on the power of consensus in the work of protecting the peace of society. The subsequent legal battle was led by an outstanding team of legal experts, including prosecutors Sarah K. Winnick, Nina Gupta, and Gilbert Rhine, with the backing of Paul Casey and Jessica Joyce. The fair, transparent, and strict trial process brought evil to light, forcing it to pay for its crimes. It proves that justice may be delayed by cunning tricks, but it will certainly never be denied. This task force is dedicated to the mission of uprooting brutal organized crime syndicates. Their focus is not limited to domestic targets, but extends to the elimination of dangerous foreign gangs. Transnational criminal organizations aiming to target the United States now face this impenetrable defensive wall. Ruthless smuggling and human trafficking rings operating aggressively are being exposed and dismantled one by one. The national security network is being tightened more than ever on a global scale. Through this historic interagency collaboration, a series of large-scale operations have been successfully dismantled. The HSTF has been mobilizing the full collective strength of the most elite law enforcement agencies in the United States. They utilize the most advanced tactics and technologies to identify, investigate, and entrap the masterminds. The ultimate goal is to prosecute all forms of distressing crimes ruthlessly committed by these underground organizations. The long arm of the law is reaching far, and every act that tramples on the rule of law will be met with the strictest punishment. Under the incredibly skillful arrangement of the authorities, the sinful plot entered a crucial stage. The investigative agency deployed outstanding special agents posing as hired hitmen to approach the subject. During these meetings, Merchant once again reiterated his ruthless demands. He was completely unaware that all his actions and words were being collected as evidence for court. The sharp professional skills of the officers created a solid fortress protecting the safety of officials and innocent civilians. The timely intervention of the task force has breathed new life into impoverished neighborhoods. The laughter of children resonates once again on streets that were once silenced by haunting fear. Local commerce and trade are gradually bustling again within a completely safe living environment. This operation has not only dismantled crime, but also ignited a powerful vitality for the entire community. The light of peace is daily warming the lives of those who have suffered so much trauma and loss. On June 21, 2024, a decisive event in terms of legal evidence took place. The subject personally handed over a large amount of cash as a commitment to the criminal contract. The conversations between him and the undercover agents solidly reinforced the evidence of a clear and undeniable criminal intent. The moment he confirmed he would proceed with the plan was also the moment he slammed shut the door to his own life's freedom. The law always has strict measures to punish those who dare to challenge social discipline. Believing that his cover was still safe, he planned to flee in mid-July. But on the exact intended day of escape, the authorities successfully moved in to arrest him right before he could leave the border. The arrest took place safely and swiftly, demonstrating the authorities' outstanding capacity to forecast and control the situation. The later guilty verdict was an inevitable end for those who sow crime. This is eloquent proof showing that no force can stand above the law and escape the punishment of justice. Through this story, what lesson do you draw about the value of freedom and the price to pay for serious violations of the law? We can see that freedom does not mean doing whatever one wants, but it must go hand in hand with responsibility and compliance with the law. When an individual uses their freedom to infringe upon the lives and legal rights of others, they will permanently lose their own freedom. The punishment of the law is not only a deterrent, but also the highest protection for the core moral values of humanity. This feat received incredibly high praise from the top leaders of the justice and security apparatus. Senior officials sent out a strong message about the power of deterrence and the unshakable commitment to protecting the people. These tough statements are an invaluable spiritual medicine, helping to consolidate the public's trust in the state's ability to maintain social order. The resoluteness in prosecuting and punishing criminals is a solid foundation for building a civilized society where people can live and contribute with peace of mind. The success of the special operation is not the achievement of any single individual or organization, but the result of an incredibly close interagency cooperation process. From central investigative offices to local police forces and border protection agencies all came together to form a smoothly coordinated network. The lesson on the spirit of solidarity and teamwork is vividly demonstrated through this case. It reminds us that when facing immense challenges, consensus and unity are always the most powerful weapons to overcome all difficulties. The lawyers and prosecutors participating in the trial process also contributed a significant part in bringing the truth to light. With extensive legal knowledge and sharp arguments, they proved the defendant's guilt in the most convincing way before the jury. The impartiality and objectivity in the trial process are proof of a robust and reliable justice system. It is thanks to these people who are always dedicated to justice that what is right is always protected and beautiful human values always shine. The story closes not only with a sentence for the offending individual, but it also exposes a reality about the complexity of the world situation. Extremist organizations are still constantly looking for ways to extend their octopus tentacles to sabotage the beautiful values of humanity. However, faced with the high vigilance and combined strength of the crime prevention system, those dark plots will certainly be smashed. The protection system, from the network of brave sources to the special agents ready to sacrifice themselves, always operates at maximum efficiency. Incarcerating the subject with the most severe sentence is a stern affirmation that violence is never a tolerable means. All acts of sowing chaos aimed at interfering with the common stability will be appropriately punished to return peace to society. After looking back at this entire spectacular crime-solving journey, what is the biggest lesson you draw for yourself about the responsibility and role of each individual in protecting the common peace of humanity? Always remember that the safety of a collective is formed by the awareness of each member, and each of us holds a part of the responsibility in building a healthy living environment. If you find this information brings much value and meaningful lessons for life, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with friends and relatives. Let's join hands together to spread the awareness of vigilance, building a strong community where good always wins and humane values are always cherished and preserved. Your companionship is always the most precious source of energy for us.